On this episode of That Kingsville Podcast, we recap the closing event at KDHS because Steve, Gary, and I attended, and got lots to talk about there.
Do you want to get in depth on my daughter's dress dance recital?
Oh, we could.
Yeah, we can.
The audience for one.
I can give you a play-by-play.
Well, I can hear the listeners clicking forward and away. And then the team here, we've developed a list of the best things about Kingsville and things to do in the summertime. So stay tuned for all that and more on this episode of That Kingsville Podcast. That Kingsville Podcast proudly brought to you by Kingsville Brewery. Again, kingsvillebrewery.com. Buy all of your beer on there, and it free delivery in Windsor and Essex County. They got cerveza, light check. Delicious to enjoy.
Well, nice. Sometimes I feel like a really nice crisp Hefeweizen.
Hefeweizen. We made this joke one episode before. I remember this.
Okay, I'll be honest. I just really enjoy saying the name Hefeweizen.
Hefeweizen.
I actually like Light A better, but Hefeweizen is so much more fun to say.
But they are lighter because really there's no stout about it.
Right?
Oh. I need a sip of my coffee.
Oh, boy. Again, kingsvillebrewery.com. Free delivery in Windsor, Essex County. All your shopping needs. kingsvillebrewery.com. Thank you, Kingsville Brewery, for supporting That Kingsville Podcast.
Cerveza.
Welcome to That Kingsville Podcast. I'm Dave, Kevin, Steve.
Hi.
No guests this week. It's just us.
Woo.
Yeah.
And they just all shut the TV.
Oh, we only like it when you guys talk to other people from town.
There's no eye here.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself.
This is my side profile. Hi, Mom.
I never look better than a side profile.
I know. It's like each time I look, I'm like, God, I should probably hit the gym. I have a gym membership. I just don't use it.
Yeah. That's why men's Spanx were invented.
Manx.
Side profiles.
Is that it? Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not gonna stoop that low. Big week last week in Kingsville. The closing ceremonies at KDHS was held on Friday, May 31st. Kev, feel free to chime in about your thoughts about the high school, seeing as how you didn't attend it or
I've been in the building a couple times.
Yeah,
seemed all right.
It's
I thought that was a send-off social for the month of May. I didn't realize it was for the school.
Well, they just had it at the school, and everybody showed up wearing Cavs gear.
By May. No.
Oh, yeah, Gary, Steve, and I. Oh, thanks.
That was unnecessary.
Yeah, that was a charity
just like
squawk.
the comment that anyway. I shouldn't have said it. Shouldn't have. Anyway, we'll just cut that part out. Anyway.
So yeah, we attended. Steve, your wife, had a wonderful speech to kind of start the event in the gymnasium. Really sentimental about what her thoughts and feelings were about teaching, and then having students and your involvement even in the school. For the Kingsville Reporter and having been in that atmosphere in several different phases.
And she had some concerns about doing it initially because she didn't graduate from Kingsville High School, and she knew there would be people saying, well, why is she speaking? And I reminded her, you've taught there for 22 years. That's effectively four high school careers. No, 3 high school careers plus 2 high school careers with OIC. So effectively 5 high school careers.
Yeah.
Okay. And she spoke to people ahead of time, former students, staff members who were also former students, to really, get more than just what she felt from the school. And I know a couple of people approached her afterwards and said she did a very good job capturing what the school is all about and what it has meant to the community for so many years. So
to say that this is a school closing ceremony does not come near enough to what today really is. It's the end of an over 100-year legacy. And although this chapter is coming to a close, the honor and pride that comes with being a member of this school in Kingsville, the spirit of being a Kingsville District High School Cavalier, will reverberate loudly and proudly in the halls of our new school, all thanks to the century-strong legacy, voices, and values of our ancestors. On behalf of the KDHS staff, we encourage you to take your time tonight. Enjoy this trip down Cavalier Memory Lane one final time. Thank you.
It was very poignant, and again, her being English teacher, and it's very difficult to capture the whole picture, right? We all have our own experiences, we all have our own interpretations and impressions of how your schooling went, but I think she did a really, really great job at telling her version of that story, but also painting the picture for everyone else in the community. So it was nice to start off the event that way. And then with Leanna Crean and the rest of the team from the Kingsville Cavaliers alumni group, wonderful agenda or events and different rooms were set up with generations. There was things you could buy for memorabilia from the school, jerseys and artwork and yearbooks and things like that. So it was really nice to kind of see generationally other people having those moments at the same time that I was. I don't know if you felt that way either, Gary, if you felt that way. Yeah. Gary says yes. Gary behind the camera.
Okay, I got it now.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting to see the yearbooks. Dave had to take a look and make sure he found my yearbook.
I found Gary.
That's awesome.
Strapping young lad.
Yeah. But it was pretty cool. Teachers from the past. Yeah.
Yeah, like and as I walked through the halls, Gary and I, we decided that we were going to interview a few people just to kind of document this event, right? It's great. Hope Gary, you can post that either on this episode or as a separate episode, because we found a couple of graduates from the class of 57 that were there in attendance, and they still live in the area. So that's
amazing.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, there must be early to mid 80s.
I did not ask that. One was a woman, one was a man, but they were both
1939 year of birth. What's that? 61. Yeah, but mid 80s. Yeah.
Math. Yeah.
Learned at KDHS. Thank you, Mr. Brennan, and a few others.
One or two. But it was really interesting as we kind of went around the school listening and talking to individuals. And we got shout out the podcast themselves, because there were a few people there that said, hey, thanks for doing the show, because we don't live in the area anymore. And it enables us to get a little picture of what is happening back in town. If we so choose, we just tune into the episode, or we can watch former episodes to kind of get brought up to speed on some relevant issues.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
it was nice.
And and it's funny because I never go anywhere and think, like, it used to be like, I would go places, there's the guy from the Reporter, there's the guy from the Reporter.
Yeah.
And I very quickly got over that, and I enjoyed it, and a little more anonymity. I never go out anywhere thinking, I'm one of those guys from the podcast. It doesn't occur to me. And we do joke around about, our low number of listeners. And we do recognize that we do actually have a nice following, and we appreciate those that do. Yeah. But I never go out thinking anyone knows who I am until this gentleman comes up to me, and I didn't know him. But I just want to say, you guys are doing a great job on the podcast. And it's always the same reaction. Thank you for listening.
Was it Paul Repko?
Thank you for listening. It was Paul Repko. Mr. Repko, yeah. And I do. Thank you for listening. So anyone who does, appreciate what we're doing, or even just tune in to try and get a snippet, but maybe not quite appreciate us, that's okay too. No, that's okay too. You're listening, and
but numbers are numbers.
Yeah. And it was interesting too. Again, Gary and I had we for an hour or so, we walked the hallways, and there were pockets of people that just were reconnecting. And, generationally, it's the people that graduated in the 60s all congregated in a room, and it was like, holy cow, I haven't seen you in so long. Yeah. And they just instantly, you could see those connections kind of coming back, and it was electric in the building. And they reported close to 2,000 people kind of went through the doors,
and there were a few of, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you and a lot of just a lot of, I remember you and this and that. And
there was an amazing lineup for Mr. Buchanan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Norm Buchanan was one of the popular folks. And it was, Gary and I tried at one point in time to get him, just to get him to tell us a few things for the interview. And we couldn't. There were so many people that were lined up just to talk to Mr. Buchanan. Mr. Buchanan was a music teacher at the high school.
Okay.
And he was well revered and a fantastic person that anyone who crossed paths with Mr. Buchanan has nothing but great things to say about him. I never took music. You did.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Gary, you did.
The girls always liked Mr.
The girls always loved Norm. But it was great to see, like, everybody, I've got to go talk to see, there's Mr. Buchanan, I got to go see him.
And it ties into a brief comment that Bob Lynch made on 2 episodes ago when he wants to do a book about music. Yep. And I could go on and on about music stories just of my own, and even a few that I've heard over the years. But I was fortunate enough to bump into Mr. Buchanan just down the hall from the music room. And I said to Mrs. He was speaking to someone, so I said to Mrs. Buchanan, it'd be nice to get a picture of him inside the music room. And she said, well, does your wife have a key? I said, she does. But I said, the room is actually open right now. Yeah. And I won't say who, but someone had opened the door just to allow somebody in really quickly. And it
filled,
set the stage, no pun intended, for people to come in. And I was lucky enough, I got a picture with him. But I didn't want to jeopardize him either. It was like, okay, I've got my picture. Thank you, Mr. Buchanan. I know there's a long line for you. And it was, I don't know what time he got out of there. He might still be there. I don't know. But
Gary and I, we came back around and it looked like he was, trying to escape, and we caught him and just got him to say a few things. And that was, of all the people that we talked to, it was the impact that everybody said everybody had, and just to see the glowing faces and the electricity, it's difficult to describe because
it's a special situation when a teacher gets celebrity status like that.
Yeah,
yes. and that's a meaningful, special moment.
To further the impact, I remember when I first started the paper, I was asked to cover a retirement, and I was told we don't do retirements because, again, if you do one retirement from one place, you have to do them all. It's like craft shows. We didn't cover craft shows because if one person covered Kevin, I know you think we did, but we didn't cover craft shows.
That was a running joke.
Yeah. But
for years.
When Mr. Buchanan retired.
Hey Steve, what craft show are you going to this weekend?
When Mr. Buchanan retired.
We don't cover craft shows, Kevin. Stop it.
So sorry, just let him go. It's
okay. I'm fine with
part of the episode somehow.
True. Yeah, he could have sat the first 20 minutes. No. He had a huge impact on Greg Sims and Rita Sims, and Greg in particularly, who was a musician. And we did a story. We didn't just do a story. We did a front page story for his last concert and his retirement. And that, once in a while you do bend the rules, and that showed me, beyond what I knew of him and my 5 years in high school, showed me the impact he had on many years before, which I'd heard about. Yep. But again, it hit differently.
Yeah, we also interviewed Mr. Neil Baldwin, right? And him and Mr. Hungler were the two that were students that attended their full education in high school at KDHS, and then came back as faculty.
Okay.
So, I can't remember the numbers. I'm sorry, Mr. Baldwin, if you're listening. But it's in the interview. Like, he'd been there for 30 or 35 years combined with career and education.
He had two sets of numbers on his name tag for when he attended and when he taught.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Dave was interviewed by CTV.
I saw that. I saw Super Dave.
Yeah. Sorry, I got interviewed.
No, that was great.
Well, but we were in the same place in the front foyer trying to collect people because that was, the grand entrance and everybody coming in. It was great. And you started to see pockets collect and people collect, and then just the faces, and it was great. Everyone was happy.
And another sentimental note was so Mario Lamoureux passed away a few years ago, a former teacher, but his widow Shelley and his son Nick were in the building, and Nick was able to see the classroom that his dad taught in. Mm-hmm. And that was a touching moment for Nick, and something that you could tell meant a lot to him.
Yeah, actually, Mr. Lamoureux was pretty, fundamentally foundational in my life too. I have three teachers, and I got to talk to two of them at the event to let them know how much their dealings with me meant. And I never did with Mr. Lamoureux because he passed away. Right. But I did when I met Shelley. I told her, I said, hey, your husband influenced exactly the reason why I took my career path, because he handled me differently than the rest of the class. He asked, who wants to do mechanical engineering? There was three of us that raised our hand. He said, okay, I'm going to teach you different things. They're going to learn architectural. And then, the rest is history. Good question. I don't know. It was Ryan Lowry. Oh.
No, I thought you said there were other teachers.
Oh, the other teachers.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Karen Nolan. Well, she's Karen Stamler now in drama. And Mr. Dewey, Doug Dewey.
Oh, great.
And, they treat, and I told them, I said, I didn't get a chance to thank you when I was a teenager because you don't think of it. And you don't know where you're at that phase of life. You just graduate. Hey, the world's your oyster. Away you go. It's only when you look back at it, like, oh, geez, the confidence that I was able to build, the skill set that I was able to glean, the lessons that we actually learned as a result of just being taught by you or being guided by you were so significant, right? You treated us in a way that it helped foster, self-confidence. It helped foster skill development.
Yeah.
You were human, right? It wasn't militant. It wasn't, there's other teachers there that maybe I walked by and didn't say hi to because I didn't have exactly the same relationship.
Or they just didn't teach you. You knew they were there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
it was nice that there were so many former teachers there to have, hopefully they all had that opportunity where a former student was able to come up to them and say, hello, thank you for everything.
I hope so. And I'm sure, because I don't know about your impression or even when you went to your high school, like there was always the teachers that were more liked or well preferred just because of their personalities and whatnot. But there isn't one that's outright detested, right? Like there wasn't.
No, and that's just it. Because we all learn differently and we all have different interests. Yeah, you're going to have teachers who, you don't like the class. It's not that you don't like the teacher. You don't like the class, but because you don't like the class, the person who's teaching it kind of goes part and parcel with that.
Right.
I mean, I don't remember thinking a teacher is a total
not great.
Yeah.
Use any derogatory. No, I don't. There were teachers I didn't like, but sure. But I wouldn't not acknowledge them or anything like that.
Oh, just very cordial.
Part and parcel of.
Hey, high schools are an interesting building where, especially ones that have been around for a long time, like KDHS, because KDHS is your school, and it's Gary's school, and Steve's school, and it's 2,000 other people that showed up school, and they all have memories that are tied to geographical places inside the same building.
Oh yeah,
but totally different, meaningful, impressionable memories. And same with the teachers. It's that classroom is that teachers, but it's also that teachers and that teachers.
So it's funny you mentioned that. So Pam Sabera, who's married now, she's like Wikolski. I can't. I'm sorry, Pam. I'm sorry, Pam.
Pam's not listening. She's not on the list.
Oh, she is.
No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Pam.
Pam's dad was a teacher.
Yes.
Mr. Sabera, and he passed away, unfortunately, in high school. And we were kind of collecting in the middle hallway right in front of the library doors. And she said that location in that little corner where the library doors meet those hallway doors, she has a lifelong burned-in memory of her hugging her father in that exact location. Right. Like, and for her father to pass away in high school, it was such a tragic time in all their lives. Yet, hey, she has that core memory in that in that building. Yeah. I don't have that memory. I didn't have that connection, but she does. And that's so like such a to acknowledge the fact that happened. And that's why we all have this somewhat of an attraction to that building. And the sentiment of high school, like there's no way to describe why that should be relevant, but for a lot of people it is.
Yeah.
And the generational aspect too. Like simply, I mean, I had Mr. Brennan for 2 different math classes. I think grade 11 math and then
ran into him.
Maybe calculus and OEC, something along those lines. Anyway, this past season, 2 of his grandsons run the high school soccer team. Right? So when you're sitting in class, you never think like, in 30 years, I'm going to be coaching your grade, or 25. I don't want to make myself older than I am.
Yeah.
But that's the community aspect of the school is when, you have former students who are now in a different way connected to the teacher through extended family or extended friends. And there was a lot of that going on. So this person knows this person through this person. And anyway, I'm kind of...
No, you're right.
Rambling a little bit, but if you get the picture of sort of the community that is the school, and will continue to be in the new building, like that's not going to change. It's just going to be the same in a different location.
And it's different because it's a whole new dynamic, right? Being K to 12 now instead of just 9 to 12.
Yeah.
Right. You the age end of it, like you transition to a building. It's a growing period of your development into adolescence and
right.
Young adulthood and whatnot. I think, just the last kind of unified collective memory or sentiment was sporting accolades. So a lot of people that we talk to And as we're going through, everybody was recalling, oh, I remember we went to, Leamington, we beat Leamington High School, or, hey, we were the ones that were on the senior boys basketball team. We took Wexa or Essa or whatever it was at the time. Like, older guys, older than us, talking about the heyday. Like, there was a comment that was made by a few guys. They're like, oh, we used to be a big thing around these hallways. Like, oh my gosh, like it's.
No, but I get it. I mean, I got my banner, right?
Yes.
So I took it off the wall the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, I brought it home. Yeah.
Good.
No, but later in the evening, there was 4 guys from that team sent me a picture of themselves beside the banner. So
it just reiterates. Like, yes, sports are a big part of that part of your life, but it's also a unifying action, a unifying activity.
Yeah.
That as a team, you've got a collective sentiment, goal, memory, right? Like I at KPS was telling you, I made the senior boys basketball. We won 2 tournaments. I have that banner, right? Does it mean anything today? No, but I still remember it. And I was 13 years old or whatever it was. Like,
well, and it doesn't have to be sports. Like, it can be, like, for Steve, it can be in music. For me, obviously not at KDHS, but I was part of the AV club, and we made a TV show for Cogeco Cable every week. And so, like, I remember episodes of that, putting it together and going out in the community and filming it. And it's not just about sports, but it's about the camaraderie of doing things with your friends that you feel some sort of independence about. That's your thing that you can brag about to other people, and it's a sense of accomplishment. And for a lot of us, but a lot of us, that sense of accomplishment when you're 14 years old is likely going to be tied to your high school.
Right, because that's where you're at, and your brain's only full with whatever you've put in to that point. Right. And what's the fact? Like, the music you listen to from 13 to 18 is the music you will always consider as good, right? And I'm sure that those formative years that your brain gets all the wrinkles in it, right?
Yeah.
Smooth brain. It's a wrinkly brain when you learn and you start to become who you eventually will be, or those ground lessons and morals and things like that build you up as a person through whatever activity. So it was a great. I give everyone a great level of thanks and appreciation for being able to do what they did. Hopefully the graduating ceremonies would be the last events to happen. But they're not in the building.
No,
so
they haven't been for a few years.
Right. So but that's the last KDHS thing.
Yes.
And last
migration hall
thing.
And to get no Shirk.
Too big.
Yeah.
And I forgot to ask who the last graduate will be.
Oh, what's
alphabet
Zed or whomever it is.
Zed. Well, I don't know if there's anyone last name Young or I don't know. I don't know.
It'd be interesting.
So
yeah.
Wow.
Well, so yeah. So on that,
we have to find out who the first was first.
I'm sure it's an Adams. You're right. Yeah, it's got to be an Adams, right? Something like that. So on that, Kingsville's pretty significant, and a lot of people come here for tourism. A lot of people come here to live because they, see it and visit it. And there's a lot of things that are really just Kingsville centric. You can have experiences like it, but you can't have that unless you're in Kingsville. So, we figure, what are we up? Season 4? Are we in season 4? Yeah, season 4. We should probably address some of these things that are like purely Kingsville only kind of thing. So, some things to do in town. Brief list, not in any order, not in any significance.
Man, things. So this just got you just amped up the homework assignment significantly, because I didn't realize that we were doing things that you can't do anywhere else.
Okay, fine, you can do some of them elsewhere, but it's like the Kingsville twist.
The Kingsville. Okay, all right, okay. I'm gonna let someone else go first.
Oh, I'll go first. So there's a restaurant right in the middle of town. Jim's Sub Shop. And for years and years as a teenager, we used to go to Jim's Sub Shop because we'd smoke cigarettes and drink coffee and, not go to school or hang out. But it became a cult favorite. And, they've got a loyal following and a fantastic breakfast. So they have like hooky omelets and whatnot. So you can get breakfast anywhere, but you can't get Jim's Sub Shop breakfast anywhere else but Kingsville. And anybody who says, yeah, we're coming into town, where should we go for breakfast? It's always on the list to mention. So that's a Kingsville only thing.
All right. Okay.
I can give you another one too.
Do you want to?
No, keep going.
Yeah. So you ever want to, talk to somebody, for about 20 minutes at a time in a very small sliver of a building in the middle of town? It does come with a haircut. But, Councillor Tony Gaffin and the Gaffin family have been cutting hair there since, the 40s? Like, if I remember correctly.
Something like that,
right.
40s or 50s, yes.
So for the Gaffins to be barbers, and it's generationally, like Mr. Gaffin, Jim Sr. and Tony and all, right?
Yes. I believe it was Jim's
father,
dad, yes, that started it, and then Jim, Tony, and now Tony's boys.
Boys, I believe. I don't have hair anymore. I don't see him anymore.
I know.
But for a family to have had a business in town serving the community, and again, it's a great place. It is a great
summer destination.
If you need a haircut, you want to have a conversation.
Well, it's unique to Kingsville.
It is very unique.
This is kind of it's a twofold conversation.
Right.
Unique to Kingsville /
in the summer.
Unique summer. Well, you can go anything. That's a unique to. No, I think we've kind of diverted this conversation into two, and that's great. So we've got unique to Kingsville, and we've got
your turn.
Summer destination. No.
Okay, I'll take one, and I don't think that this is even possible anymore.
Listen, I'll promote Lee and Maria's later. You go.
So let me tell you about what I used to do on Saturday afternoons when I first moved here and was a broke radio DJ. I knew that on a Saturday I needed to get a buzz on cheaply because later on that night I'd be going out, but I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money.
Because you didn't have any.
Right, because I didn't have any. So I realized that you could go to Peely Island Winery and take a 4 o'clock tour and pay $5.
Yes, sir.
And walk all through the building and watch a 30-minute video about the great work that the Peely Island Winery does on the island.
Yeah.
And drink for free basically the entire time, and then you get a free wine glass at the end.
Yeah. No, well, those rules don't apply anymore. Those have changed.
No. So you can't actually do that anymore. But when I first moved to Kingsville, wow, what a benefit that was! I paid $5. I'd get half cut, get a free glass, and walk home.
You get dishes.
Yeah, it's great. I'd go home like, oh man, I think I had a set of them. I had like 12.
He came to your wedding, right? Or
yes. He was at, well, we were at each other's wedding,
right,
but yes.
He came to your wedding, right?
First,
so did you get wine glasses?
No.
Just kidding.
No, I actually had, Kevin gave Tam and I one of the most memorable gifts ever. As previously stated, he was a broke radio DJ.
Yeah, it happens.
So Kevin, to his credit, scrounged up his entire amount of Canadian Tire money that he owned. Put it in a nice envelope, had a nice card.
Hey, any port in a storm.
And gave us his Canadian Tire money.
Honestly, I probably should have included a set of Peely Island wine glasses.
Well, knowing this now, absolutely. Yeah. However,
apologies.
No, it's
your turn.
I don't have. No, I don't.
Okay, I'll give you another one. You can't do this anymore either. But one of my favorites when I moved here was at 6 o'clock, jumping on the G-Mon. They had music going.
Yep.
And then you'd ride the G-Mon to Peely Island, drink the whole way, stay on the boat, and ride it right back to port, and then figure out how you're going to get home from port.
The booze cruise was classic.
The booze cruise was fantastic.
It was. Yes, did a few of those. Have a couple of embarrassing stories from those too.
They're not documented because there was no cell phones or very few
at the
time. So no camera phones. Forget it.
I just tried to. I remember trying to photobomb on a wet deck and. Down I went. Yeah.
New boats not licensed. No more booze cruising.
No more booze cruise.
Yeah.
Also, I guess this is boiling down to Kingsville used to be great.
Whoa. No, but I guess
it used to have nightlife. There used to be bars here. right? Like there used to be a place where
Or
you could
places
go
were open later.
after 9.
I guess the rite of passage you can make a case for the Meadowas. You know, before the development of the new Grovedale, it was a party spot in high school down by the dock.
Yeah,
You know.
bush parties. Yeah,
But that was, I don't know what they do nowadays. I don't need to know what they do nowadays.
it's condominiums
Things.
and whatnot, right? But yeah, no. What about, getting donuts at Colasanti's? Like everybody goes to Colasanti's because it's the destiny. We're going to Colasanti's. We're going to take the kids because they're bothering us. We're going to walk around cactuses all day and make them touch them. Or what? Like Colasanti's has evolved over the years, right? Like when we were kids, did you ever come down here when you were a kid?
Like come here
For Colasanti's at all?
like before I moved
before
here?
we moved here, yeah.
No, I didn't even know this place existed.
Okay, that's fine. But the surprising
I
amount
thought I was moving to the Niagara region. Not a joke.
Did you just overshoot?
When I was driving,
I thought the Niagara region was a lot bigger than it is.
I thought I was supposed to turn, and then like the map is like, oh,
Yeah.
I still got 5 hours to go.
Leamington. Where?
Yeah, well 3, but yeah.
Colasanti's as a kid. I lived here in the early 80s for a few years, and then we moved away, and then we moved back in the 90s. And they've had a petting zoo for a long time, right? And the baby goats. And my mother, we still talk about it every now and again because as a kid, my sister and I were walking through the petting zoo, and a baby goat just butted me and sent me flying kind of thing. So it's always been funny. And they still have a petting zoo, and it's evolved very much, since those days. But you get those family moments. They had rides there, and there was a tilt-a-whirl in the back, and they've got events there, and the Apple Fest is there. So there are people that do come just for Colasanti's.
Yes.
So that's why I ask. Like,
Yeah,
some
no,
people-
absolutely.
We're going to Kingsville Colasanti's.
Well,
Cactuses.
there's so much diversity, right? You can do the putting green, you can see the animals,
Yeah.
you can do the arcade,
Mhm.
great food,
Donuts, chicken.
Donuts and chicken.
My brother-in-law, we used to
salad
eat.
dressing.
We used to eat. The salad dressing is delicious. But we used to eat the chicken and donuts and call them chow nuts. It's a thing. Eat that. It's delicious.
Delicious.
It's delicious. So,
Uh,
how about from mid-June through mid-July having to use a snow shovel
oh, yeah.
to shovel fish flies? That's not
today.
uniquely
So
Kingsville.
today, but we got hit pretty hard today. I needed gas. I wasn't thinking. I pulled in a Union.
Oh no.
Crunch, crunch, crunch. And, so here I am trying to scan my card. I'm having to wipe them off the scanner, wipe them off the pump, wipe them off the receipt box. And
I think I don't know if I told this story on the podcast before or not, but there was one day where it was after either Leamington or Kingsville Council, and I get back to the radio station, and I look at or bring up, and I got an alert that there was a storm incoming. And so I look up on the radar, and sure enough, there's like dark red, black, right at the edge of the tip. I'm like, oh my God. So I call Environment Canada, and Environment Canada's like, we're registering it too. Like there must be a crazy storm there. And they're like, we don't know how it's possible because all the other things that they look at isn't registering anything. So I actually went on the air and said that there was a storm. And it's nighttime, so it's not like you could just look out and be like, "Oh, it's actually clear."
Yeah.
It wasn't
Wasn't a storm.
It wasn't a storm. It was fish flies.
Yeah.
It was a storm of fish flies.
Yeah.
And it was I remember we were joking about it the next morning on the show because I broke into programming and said there was a big storm, and it wasn't. And so we were laughing about it on the show, but then the gentleman, I think it was one of the old owners of the Peely Days Inn, called, and he was renting a Bobcat that was how bad it was to shovel them all up.
Yeah,
I've seen them in town at times on Melbourne one day. They actually have heavy machinery, so to speak, to move them.
Yeah,
because the light attracts them, so right under the street lights.
Wild. A lot of people, it's not just Kingsville, it's the shore, and actually Ohio gets it pretty bad too.
Yeah, they actually get worse usually.
They get worse. It's Ohio though.
Yeah,
yeah, no,
that's Ohio.
Yeah, it's Cedar Point, and that's about it. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, no, you can't because of the fish flies. You can't see the point.
Man. Can we talk about somehow soft serve ice cream has become a legendary at Dairy Freeze because it doesn't taste, it doesn't taste as good anywhere else.
Well,
Wait, is Kevin delving into just outside of Cottam?
yeah, that's the borderline of Kingsville. That is actually
North Ridge.
Yeah.
Well, it's not Cottam.
Okay. Then.
Yeah, no. No one cares about Cottam, but let me tell you about Northridge.
Yeah.
And the beautiful Dairy Freeze. It's I didn't understand it when someone told me. I went there, and I'll be honest, because I didn't grow up here, I still don't really get it. But people love Dairy Freeze, and I respect every person that loves Dairy Freeze.
When we're off the air, remind me to tell you a story about that. I have some insider trader knowledge. I know why, but I can't say it.
Nicotine, isn't it?
Yeah. Nicotine. Hey, kids.
It's worse.
Chocolate dip. I like the fact in Kingsville, east, west, and north, you can get fresh produce just on the outskirts of town. Like, if you forgot, like, I need an onion, and I'm heading in one direction, it's either Lee and Maria's. Lee and Maria's? Sorry, I had to.
It's fine. It's fine.
Or the Adams Garden of Eden, on your way to Arrow.
Yep.
And Willow Tree heading north on Division. So I think that's pretty cool too. And a lot of people don't realize, who live here, don't realize just how convenient that is. Like, you go anywhere else, like, oh, you got produce stands? Like, yeah, we have them everywhere.
Yeah, and even just pop-ups. People who have a small acreage just do it at the end of their driveway. But that was one thing Tam loved when she moved here. Was just the fresh produce for however many months of the year.
And you do get, so I sold corn at the end of my driveway when I was a young buck in beautiful Kawartha Lakes.
Entrepreneur.
But you don't get anywhere close to the variety. And that's the unbelievable part of this region, because you can go to any of the areas, like you can go to Holland Marsh, you can go to Niagara, you can go to the areas in cottage country, and you can get sweet corn, and you can get the odd field tomato, you can get some potatoes, but you're not getting apricots and plums and cherries and like
strawberries, asparagus,
peaches,
raspberries.
Yeah, peaches, like all of that, Concord grapes, like the blueberries, raspberries, all of the berries. Like, you're not getting that kind of variety at a roadside stand.
He tried selling corn. People thought he was a stalker.
That's corny.
2, 3. There we are. There we are. Yeah, it is truly special, right? And a lot of people to take it for granted. I take it for granted, and then when I go around, it's like, you guys have to get your lettuce from bags at the grocery store all the time.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as fresh lettuce comes out, I don't eat bag lettuce from the store. Why? Whole field tomatoes, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Let us go to the stalls.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's going to keep coming now.
Mm-hmm. Just,
yeah.
You're not going to acknowledge that one.
No.
Good.
No.
Right, moving on. Moving on.
But the fruit too, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I told my kids they can get married, but whatever happens, they cantaloupe.
You set him up, he knocks his own pins down.
I'll be honest, I didn't know until I moved here. And I was in the produce industry before I moved here, and didn't know you could buy an Ontario watermelon, like Ontario seedless watermelon.
Yeah.
I did not know that was a thing.
Oh, they're fantastic.
They're fantastic.
Like, you joked, muskmelon, cantaloupe, right? Like,
They're good.
They're fantastic, right? Yeah. And onions from the other side.
Carrots.
How about you can rent a bike?
Did we mention Leah Maria's?
We did.
Okay, yeah.
That's 2 pretty soon. We'll exceed our Lee and Maria's promotion for this episode.
I've been banking them for this.
How about you can rent a bike and go to several different wineries and possibly get a DUI on a bicycle?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm joking, but you can.
You could.
You can, yes.
Don't do that.
That's a reality. Yes, that could be possible. But how about the fact that you can rent bikes and you can pedal from several different wineries? There's 3 in Kingsville? 3? Mastronardi, Peely Island, and is Alexander?
Alexander.
So yeah, we have 3 in Kingsville proper, and then you go out Highway 50, County Road 50, I should say. And, then there's...
Out in the area that should be Kingsville.
That should be... We've argued that several times, but, hey,
well,
everybody's got to have a shoreline. So, but that's something that is only here, right? Yeah, I'm sure you can do it in Niagara, and I'm sure you can do it in Wellington County, but...
I don't know about Wellington County. Like
that's pretty far.
You're making a hike if you're going from winery to winery.
That is pretty far. Yeah, we rented a bus to do that. So.
Yeah.
What else?
What else are we talking about?
You can golf at was LPGA or Canadian Open grade.
Canadian Women's Open?
Canadian Women's Open. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Yes. Canadian Women's Open.
Kingsville Golf and Country Club used to be curling club when they had the curling club. But it is a fantastic golf course. That's our local community golf course.
27 holes.
And but the layout and the play.
Drunk John Daly loved it.
John Daly, you did tell that story.
Yeah. He loved it.
But many other different communities don't have that caliber of course, especially not in Essex County where there's no hills.
Right.
Because it's in the ravine gully and whatnot. You've got all that, kind of difficulty, and, it's relatively affordable to play. 18 holes. It's not terrible, but it's not the cheapest course.
And not to be outdone, I mean, Orchard View and Bellevue are both within town limits.
Absolutely.
Are fantastic courses in their own right too.
Right.
We're for the golf aficionado.
Yeah.
We're lucky to have three courses.
Great courses.
Yeah.
And then, there's Oxley that's not too far out of town that, if you want to play a par 3 course.
Yeah.
And then Erie Shores and into Leamington and whatnot. So we're pretty fortunate for that kind of things. Oh, what else? We got restaurants.
We have a toboggan hill.
Yes, I wrote that.
Considering how flat Essex County is, you could argue that we have 3 because KPS and the golf course can be used too. You got to be careful at the golf course.
Frown.
I almost don't even want to mention it because of the hidden toboggan hill.
Oh, is it statute of limitations or
the Meadows Park toboggan hill?
Yes,
that no one remembers about, and then we'll go and park at the end of that municipal parking lot. And
it's paved now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then throw a toboggan down, and there's nobody there. It's fantastic.
Did you know there's a lighthouse there?
Oh, really?
But going back to Lakeside Park, I mean, we've known for years it's a gem, but that's the rite of passage as a kid, and even as an adult. Yep. You take your kids, or you just at 10 o'clock after a few drinks with friends.
Thumbelina down the much like the high school. I've got memories about that park from all the way from being a toddler to today, kind of thing. Well, not today physically, but the restaurants, the collection of restaurants and the diversity of food that we have in town, and the level of skill and quality output of food from the chefs and the staffs that have these, those business owners. It's fantastic. I don't eat anywhere. I don't go to Windsor to eat. I barely go to Detroit anymore to eat because I can get such fantastic cuisine a kilometer away from where I live, right? You take that for granted.
No, you're right.
Downtown Kingsville is such all the way from El Diablo, the Main, everything it's not Jack's now. What is it?
The Goose.
The Goose, right? The Goose and Wineology. And, the Meadows, fantastic. Osercino, for Italian. Oh my gosh. Koi sushi. It's spectacular to have all that in such a tight space.
Good food begins with good ingredients, right?
Right. And where do you get those good ingredients?
Vern's.
Vern's.
No, but right.
No, you're right.
The go-to,
my gosh, Vern's. If there wasn't a Vern's in town, Steve, we wouldn't be a town.
No, I mean, that's you want to talk about a piece of history and a legacy. I mean, that building and that restaurant.
Guido's.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Guido's. My mom worked at Guido's in the early 80s as a waitress. And, not that Vern's got the same menu or whatnot, but he hasn't changed the dynamic of what that place is. It's always welcoming. It's always comfortable. You're always going to get a great meal. Through COVID, we ordered from him religiously because we got stuff, and he had the Chinese food anyway. Yeah. I digress. But I think, the waterfront and the fact that the community's on the water and its effect that it has on our climate and the effect that it has on our activities and the effect that it has on, I guess, just our general part of the world. I think is probably one
Man, that one I can't agree with.
Shut your mouth, you can't.
I feel like I don't disagree. Okay, I really wanted this to be all puff and roses, but I have to say that I really think Kingsville's waterfront is totally wasted.
I don't disagree with that. You didn't let me finish. It was the one that we can't access all the way because we never developed it. Yeah, but it's there.
Yeah, it's there.
It's there.
So the people who own property on and Cedar
Island, Cedar Beach. Yeah, and that's the only downside. It's here. We have it, but we can't all use it. Yeah. And the pollution levels of some of the beaches, right, that prevents us from being able to use it, which is unfortunate because I remember Lakeside Park Beach as a kid, swimming in because you could. And Metawas Beach is a new thing because of the development and the park and whatnot, and it's full of goose poop. So I probably wouldn't go there regularly unless you want to wade in goose poop. But yeah, you don't have this in Warren, Michigan, right? It's landlocked and whatnot. We're pretty lucky.
Funny you say that. This is a true stat. Every lot in Michigan is 10 miles from a lake.
I believe it.
A body of water.
Body of water. I believe it. Yeah. River, lake. Yeah. Pond. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, there's so many on that side.
Not to divert the conversation, but
it's not lakefront.
But I will.
It's not lakefront. Yeah,
and the lake being so big.
Not to do it, but clearly do it.
But yeah, it's that's why we've had such a big boom for tourism and attraction because of the water. Yeah. Right, it lures people in.
And the wineries help, and the restaurants help, and
all of the above.
The breweries, the bakeries. Like there's just you can come here and just stuff your face for a week and never eat at the same place.
Agritourism. Speaking of goose poop, Jack Miner.
Yeah.
Well, that's obviously unique to anywhere. Yeah.
Right. And Kennedy Woods, right? That whole complex.
I love Kennedy Woods.
Yeah. It's beautiful walk.
But it's not just, it's seasonally great. Yeah. Each season, it's a different experience that you have through there.
Actually, my favorite time in there is late fall.
Yeah.
Right when like the majority of the leaves have fallen, but not all of them. There's some really cool old trees in there that you can't see during the summertime that you can see in the fall. And it's such a cool walk through there.
Yeah. Best thing about Kingsville is, we know
the podcast.
The podcast. That Kingsville Podcast. If you find YouTube, like and subscribe. Is that we know it's here and we take advantage of it. Mm-hmm. And some of the things we take for granted, a lot of the things that we mention, we don't do all the time. But, some people who are new to town who might have found the podcast, thank you for listening. Glad you get your, information from us. It might not all be relevant to you, but hey. And then, there's so many other different things that people take advantage of and find value in.
I don't want to be the downside or the negative, but I guess the only thing that could really make this perfect, if you will, is you'll drive through town on a Sunday and you know who tourists are. You can see them. They're looking around and they're looking and they're looking and they're seeing that everything's closed. Yeah. And I remember years ago doing the bygone days, and I think we've talked about this briefly a couple of years ago on an episode, but close Monday, Tuesday in the summer, open all weekend. You will make way more money on the Sunday than you will if you were open Monday and Tuesday combined. Depending on
what you do.
Yes. Like there are certain stores.
Salons, not so much.
Let's be practical. But definitely, like if you're a hair salon, I get it. But there's certain clothing, and I'm not being critical of the owners here. I'm just saying that could be an even bigger draw if certain establishments were open, even 10 to 4 on a Sunday, when the tourist crowd is really sort of walking through town and looking for somewhere to go and looking for somewhere to spend their money.
Mm-hmm. See it every weekend when walking the dog, right? They take a walk in mid-morning and there's always people coming out of the Grove Hotel and looking for, look at this. They look over at Windblown and Weathered, right? Where the old winology was. And they got that roll-up door. It's inviting. And then the local maker is right there beside it. And there's a couple of restaurants. Hey, I went to Joe and got a coffee, and now I'm walking, and oh, no, this one's closed. This one's closed. Oh, this one's open. Okay, great. But, it's not supportive for the tourism commerce end of
right. But I'm not a business owner either. And, there are a lot of business owners I do know, and I'm not being critical of them specifically. I'm just thinking big picture.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, and if it weren't for them to be here, though, we wouldn't have what we have either.
And that's true. Yeah.
Right.
And that's fair.
So yeah. No, we just, like I said, we haven't really talked about those things on the podcast, and I think summertime, people are out and about. It was busy in town today. Like busy. It's a Thursday, but early summer, right? Is it summer yet? It's almost summer.
Ish.
It's meteorology.
Yeah, it's unofficial summer.
Yeah,
Meteorological summer.
There, thanks, Steve.
June 1st.
Yeah.
I went to Freshco, and on my way, I seen the traffic backed up all the way to Leah Maria's.
That's 4.
Yeah,
that's 4.
You could have stopped. You could stop in. You know, wait for the traffic to come down.
Get a hanging basket.
But we also and I know it's
we joke.
So, but we have Cottam. And Cottam is growing. There's some neat little establishments in Cottam. You know, it's only a 10-minute drive.
Great park.
Yeah. Oh, geez. We should probably promote the fact that on the 15th, they're having the first block party for the town of Kingsville in Cottam.
Nice.
So that's a thing.
Yeah. I did ask my kids before the podcast. I'm like, hey, what are your favorite things in the summertime to do? So, you know, we're doing a podcast on it, and both of them immediately screamed, open streets. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Actually, I'm not even joking. Andrea said, make sure you make sure you mention open streets. You heard it here, folks. The kids loved it.
They really did a good job last year. The activities.
Fantastic job.
Else, yeah.
Kids loved it. They remember it. Hopefully, block parties can do that.
I'm sure it'll be great.
Cheryl? Or sure.
The block party sponsored by Lego.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
All right.
So just a reminder too, last podcast we had the ladies from Catterin, Kara and Abby and Stacy. That event's taking place June 13th at Peely Island Winery. You can go to their Instagram page at CountHerInYQG. Did I remember that correctly? Thank you. Memory on this guy. I think tickets are still available. Again, June 13th, 2024, for anyone who might catch this in the future. But yeah, again, thanks everyone for listening tonight. Like and subscribe. Again, it does matter. Each time we still get more and more exposure and more people.
It makes the world a better place.
It does, because you get to see more people and they look at my side profile. It's great. Thanks, Mom. Anyway, thanks again for listening. We'll catch you next time on That Kingsville Podcast.